Hello, my friends. Hope you guys are doing well. Joining me in this episode is Sobin, who obviously you'll get to learn about how we met and all that. But he's a sustainability analyst by day, and he's also a stand-up comedian on the side as well. So we talked about how his journey. I mean, the the dude's a funny guy. Honestly, I freaking love this guy. Naturally funny, and we talked about how he approaches life, which is really cool, and the systems that he or patterns that he sets himself on to ensure that he can balance everything that's going on in his life. So yeah, please everyone, if you basically fuck with it, all this content, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, follow my page, follow Sobin as well, and engage. That'll be really cool. And make sure that you stay tuned to like all these awesome lineups of guests that I got lined up. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Stay tuned and let's get locked in. And we are live. All right. All right. All right. What is up, everyone? And welcome to the very first episode of the podcast. Let's fucking go. I'm super duper excited to get this launched. And today, joining me is my good friend Sobin, who, for context, we only met around July last year for like a boxing white collar
Yeah,
boot camp. And we
yeah.
hit it off straight away due to like our, shared like interest and even dark humor. And Sobin's a freaking cool guy. So how about I'll pass it over to you, bro. Just give yourself an intro, like what you do, and I'm sure, yeah, and I'll kick it off away after that.
Thank you, Idris. Yes, I am Sobin. We met at a boxing training, I believe, in
Yeah.
last summer. Yeah, and yeah, ever since we've been good friends, and I'm happy we met. And about me, I am Sobin. I'm a 28-year-old Indian dude who came to UK to do his masters, and now working as a sustainability analyst. Along with that, I have some hobbies, which including stand-up comedy. I do
Sick.
boxing, as I mentioned, with
Sick.
Idris. So yeah, so those kind of things. We'll talk more about that. But yeah, just me going through my quarter life crisis and jumping into a lot of things to find meaning of life, I guess.
Ama- Amazing, man. I'm sure we're gonna touch a bit about the quarter life crisis eventually,
Yeah.
but first off, like, how long have you been working as a sustainability analyst, and also like, how long have you been doing stand up comedy?
So I started working as a sustainability analyst in 2023. So no, 2020. Yeah. So it's been almost 3 years now, I would say.
Nice,
And
nice.
stand-up comedy I started in 2023. So yeah, 2022 I started working. 2023 I did started stand-up comedy by November. So it's last November it was almost a year. So 1 year and few months now.
That's so cool, man. And
Thank you.
I mean, like, I just want to touch on the sustainability analyst part. Like, how did you get to, where you are? Like, why did you choose that job?
Mhm.
Yeah, why sustainability analyst? Was it influenced by like family or like your own interest or your culture or like what you saw or what?
uh, Man, how long do you have? Like, I can go days talking about just that. But yeah, I mean, as any typical Indian guy, if you know an Indians, I was a mechanical engineer. So I started my
Mm,
career as a mechanical engineer. I was passionate about engineering, but halfway through that, I started thinking like, what next
mm,
after mechanical engineering? I was like, I don't want to do something
mm.
typical. I want to find something that I find interesting rather than following what everybody is doing. So I started doing some research, and then renewable energy came up as well. I found renewable energy more meaningful because
Mm.
it was one satisfying my passion for engineering, but also it was in another way me helping me to contribute to the society, to the planet by working on renewable energy. So I was a tech guy or an engineering guy who wanted to like be the Tony Stark of renewable energy industry and
Yeah.
build cool renewable energy technology and stuff. And I did for my final year project. I developed a semi-automatic prototype of a technology called kite energy,
Ooh.
where it has been researched a lot in Netherlands, but I was one of the few to do that in India and in Kerala as well. I'm coming from Kerala, which is a southern state in India. So I did that using some of the research papers from Delft University, Netherlands, and on.
Mm.
And then I got a funding from the government to develop it, while I was also like joined a organization to do some research on renewable energy and sustainability in India.
Mm.
And that is when I started thinking of applying for masters, and I wanted to broaden my skill because I realized being an engineer, I can't solve climate change
Yeah.
because climate change and sustainability issues are more of a societal issue as well.
Mm.
And I was lucky enough to get a full scholarship to do my master's
Let's
in the
go.
Durham University on sustainability, which was an interdisciplinary course which had engineering, business, and anthropology, social
Mm.
science, and all. Which, as an engineer, I never got into social science at all. Business,
Mm. Mm.
a bit, yes,
Mm.
but nothing to do with social science. So it was such a turning point in my life coming to UK doing my master's with a lot of modules from social science. And that is when I started developing interest. Okay, I don't want to be like a engineering guy who just works strictly constricted in like that engineering
Yeah.
aspects. I want to do business. I want to learn about different companies and sustainability initiatives, social science, and so on. And that's when I started researching, talking to people in the sustainability industry who went into, because a lot of the alumni from Durham University went into different paths. Some went
Mm.
to wildlife conservation, some
Yeah.
went into NGOs, some went into consulting. And then I came to this understanding, okay, this is what I want. I want to be
Mm.
in the sustainability consulting industry. And then after masters, I moved to London, started job hunting, and came across this company called Climate Partner, which is the company that I'm working right now. Been working
Let's
there for
go.
almost 3 years now. I'm a
Nice.
sustainability analyst there. So I help the consultants collect data from the clients, analyze the
Mm.
data, see where they have the companies. Our clients are mostly companies, so I help them
Mm.
see where they have the highest emissions and help them reduce their emissions. So that's what I do now.
Dude, that's awesome. No, thanks so much. I think I don't know if you mentioned to me before, but that you were a mechanical engineer before, but like it's interesting to see like
Yeah.
like what next, because like you're in such a field which is like I don't know how to say like engages with one side of your brain. I was
Mhm.
wondering how did you end up in like comedy? What was that click moment for you? Like because it's to me it sounds so much more creative and like left field and
Yeah.
just yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting because I believe growing up in an Indian middle class family, I think
Mm,
in Asia generally, I believe
yeah.
we can all agree how we are career oriented and we are
Right.
like career, 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 hustle,
Right.
hustle, hustle, get a job, and the creativity or the creative part. If you are a good dancer, if you are a good singer, if you like those kind of is a risky industry, and
Right.
the success rate and to be a high achieving individual in those industries much risky. So obviously you have the pressure of finding a
Mm,
professional, traditional 9 to 5 kind of a
yeah.
job. But I was very much sure that I wouldn't go into anything that I don't find interesting. That's why I came
Mm,
into sustainability and I love my job.
mm,
But then I think there was always that creative side, to be honest.
mm,
I like to goof around. I like to make people laugh. I think it has always been an thing that I found so much pleasure in, or it
mm,
made me more confident as well. Like I think I had told you this before. I walk into a room, might be filled with a bit of strangers, and I don't care if you think I'm smart. I don't care if you think I'm handsome. I don't care if you think I'm rich or poor or whatever. I don't care of anything, but I do care that you think I'm funny. That
mm,
is something I really care about. I don't know why. It has always been like that. So when I say a joke and when people laugh, I feel like that is a way of them acknowledging me, especially if it is like someone I just met. I
mm,
say a joke and they laugh. They are like,
yeah.
hey man, I like they're not saying it, but in my head, what I'm hearing is a laugh and also like, hey man. we see you, we appreciate you, we respect you. You know,
Yeah.
that is a bit of a that's how I feel when I say a joke and someone reciprocates with a laugh. And that it is so interesting, especially when it comes to comedy, because if you're a singer, you sing and someone says, "Hey, wow, it was good." It
Yeah.
could be them being nice.
Yeah.
But when you say a joke and they laugh, you can see whether they are like laughing
Correct.
because of a
True.
pity laugh or they're actually laughing their ass
Yeah.
off because they
Yeah.
found it so funny.
Yeah.
I think so, yeah. So it is a feedback that you get without any filter, right? So I believe
Mm,
it
mm,
all made me really excited about being the funny guy. I think it was when I was a teenager in high school. I
mm.
was like 16 or 17. That's when I started watching stand up. I think Russell Peters were
Yeah.
the first stand-up comedian I saw, like his 1 hour special, and I remember watching it again and again and again because it was so funny.
Yeah.
So somebody introduced that to me, and until then I didn't knew I would sit and watch a YouTube video of a guy standing on a stage and talking. When I came to UK, I think that is when I believe I started having this thought as a bucket list. I like in my life, I
Mm.
want to get on stage and do like a set, like a 5 minutes or whatever. I don't care. Like I just want to do it. I want to make people laugh, and
Yeah.
I want to, do that just for once as a bucket list. I just want to tick it and I'm done. So that's all I had in my head. But then I had a friend who, usually friends laugh at your jokes and then you just move on, like, but this friend was really curious about how funny I am,
Yeah.
and she started making notes, as in if I said a joke that made her laugh, and then after a while she thought about that joke again and laughed, that is
Yeah.
like a high level joke, so like, that's a superior joke. So she writes it down on her phone. So one day we were talking about this, and she showed me the list. Like it was like two, three jokes that I have said in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm making a list of your jokes. Those jokes that
Wow.
I think after a few days and I laugh.
Yeah.
Like if I thought about that joke you said and I laughed when I'm alone, that means that joke is has that
Eh,
high
correct.
quality that you can listen it again and laugh.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
she started making a lot of the jokes I said, and then that is when I was like, okay, finally someone is taking my jokes seriously. As in, like I sometimes geek about comedy, as in,
Yeah. Yeah.
this is why this is funny, this is how you say a joke, this is the punchline, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But then nobody talks about comedy seriously, right? Like everybody
Mm,
is
mm.
like takes it as a light thing, you laugh and you move on. But this
Yeah.
was the first friend I ever had who was like, you are like funnier than the average people around us. Like, you have jokes and you have that
Interesting.
creative bone where you
Yeah.
come up with jokes, and that actually is like very that's a talent. That's like
Yeah.
she mentioned it. And then again we were talking, so we started having conversations about comedy seriously, and then we watched like a 1 hour special of Daniel Sloss. I don't know whether you heard of it.
No.
He's a stand-up comedian. He's quite dark humor. I think you would love
Okay.
him because he's dark as hell. Yeah. So me and my friend watched his show, and I think you know how when you and your friend talk about something else, and then 1 week after you get that ad on your
Yeah.
Instagram.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you're like,
Yeah. Yeah.
someone is spying us. This
Correct.
happened to me. 1 week after we talking about this and stand up and comedy and everything, I get an ad on my Instagram saying 8 week free stand up comedy training. And
Wow.
I was like, okay, they are obviously spying on us. But also, if and also it's like free 8 week. I have searched it. It is
Yeah.
around £250 to do stand up comedy training 8 weeks in London. So I was like, yeah,
Mm.
there's no way it is free, but you know what? I will just apply. I'm just giving
Mm.
my secondary email, which is for
Yeah.
spams and stuff. So I'm like, I'm not losing anything. I just
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
applied on my bed. Like I remember I woke up one day, I was scrolling because I wasn't motivated to get off my bed. And then I saw this ad. Even on my bed, I just did that in 5 minutes. And then I put my phone away and continued with my day. 2 days
Yeah.
after I got the email saying, thank you for applying, blah, blah, blah. This is the first day we are going to do our meeting and to decide the dates and stuff and like training and stuff. And I'm like, oh God, this is actually genuine because
Yeah, it's
they have a
real.
website and all, and it was called Ultra Comedy. So
Ultra comedy.
basically, Ultra Comedy. So basically, what they do is like they take people who are interested in developing their skill, do give them like an 8 week training. One stand-up comedian who is quite a semi-pro comedian or a pro comedian would
Yeah,
be training us for eight
yeah.
weeks, and on the ninth week you get to perform on a
Uh,
quite popular comedy club in London called Backyard Comedy Club.
oh yeah,
The
nice.
catch is that show has uh, tickets, and you have to sell 10 tickets.
Sounds
And
similar.
one, yeah, sounds similar. Yeah, that's
Sounds
how we
similar.
met. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Well, to the people who are listening, there is another thing called ultra boxing, which has
Yeah.
the same concept, and that is how Idris and I met. So we will reach there soon. So just giving a heads up. So ultra is a ultra events. We are giving a free sponsorship to them now. So
No.
ultra events do a lot of things, and ultra comedy and ultra boxing are two of the main events they have. So
Mm,
yeah, I joined there. I had to sell 10 tickets. I had a lot of friends from uni and my office who just supported me, so it was easy. But the thing is, like, it was 25 pounds per ticket. So by
yeah.
selling 10 tickets, you are basically my friends paid for my comedy
Probably
training.
correct.
I would say I
Correct.
always say that if I become a big stand-up comedian, you
Yeah.
guys are 1/10 responsible for my comedy career.
I like
So
that.
yeah, so I told them that, and it happened. It was such a fun experience, and I think it even before the night of the show, like halfway
Mm,
through the training, I decided, okay, I don't want to stop at one
love
gig.
that.
Yes,
Love
I
that.
was like, okay, it's a bucket list. I want to take it. I want to do it once. But I started doing the training, and within the training, you get like joke writing, storytelling kind of lessons and exercises and stuff. And then
Mm,
every week, by the end, we would prepare 1 minute of our set and come perform in front of our teacher or
yeah.
instructor, and then the other fellow comedians. And that is when I started like enjoying the process of like coming up with something stupid and say it in a creative way and make people laugh. And people are laughing. And what one thing I really enjoyed during those training is that you're sitting in a room filled with comedy geeks who are
Mm,
geeking on comedy, who are like talking about, oh, this is the technique, oh, this is why that is funny, oh, I love you said the punchline like that instead
yeah.
of that. So that is when you are like, nobody have had this kind of conversation in a daily life. When you say a joke, people laugh and move
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, yeah,
But when
yeah.
you're like riffing with people who are genuinely interested in the theory and the like the techniques and stuff behind comedy, it is really interesting because we are a bunch of geeks who likes comedy, who watches comedy and likes to do comedy. So so that was I enjoyed it, and I was like, you know what, I don't want to, because in that group there were a lot of people who were doing it for a while.
Yeah.
Oh, so they were like talking about there are certain apps that you can use to find open mics in London, and
Mm.
since London is quite a, like a, I don't know what's the right word. It's quite happening
Yeah, yeah,
city.
yeah.
You
Yes.
get everything here. You want to do
Yeah.
dance, you want to do guitar, you want to do comedy, you want to do boxing. It is
Yeah.
there. So
True.
people started talking about how it is easily available and you can book into comedy clubs and go perform. And people have been doing that for a while. While we were doing that 8 week training, there were some other people who were parallelly doing open mics and stuff. So that is when I got exposed to that. And I was like, hey, I want to do open mics after the big show. Like, I don't want to stop at
Yeah.
that one show.
Yeah.
And that's so the show happened, and I think this is the only thing in my life, like comedy, that
Mm.
I had no imposter syndrome. As in,
Mm.
I walk into the stage and I know I'm funny. I
Yeah.
mean,
That's good.
I'm
That's
not being
big.
arrogant or
No,
anything,
no, no.
but and I know I'm not the greatest comedian or anything. If I was, I would be. You would already know me. But what I'm saying is like that feeling of
Yeah.
that confidence is something I never had for anything. Even though we feel confident about things, like it is never like 100% or like there. Like when
Yeah.
before the big show, there's like a 300 people in the audience the first time I'm performing,
Mm.
and so it is, this, but I always suit up like when I do stand up. That is like my thing.
Yep.
So I wear a
We
full
can add a
suit all the
link of a
time.
video
Yeah,
somewhere here or something.
yeah. Yeah. So what happened is like they told us this is going to be a big show, so there will be like professional videographers and photographers. So I decided I want to wear a suit, a full suit. I
Yeah,
decided.
hell yeah.
But now I'm like, but I have to justify why I'm wearing a suit, right? So then I started thinking about it, and one of my favorite jokes that I have ever written came out from that thought, where I wrote so my initial 5 minutes set, like around the first 1 minute, 1 or 2 minutes, I'm talking about why I am overdressed, like why am I dressed suit up. So that I have a bit on that. So
Mm-hmm.
that's how I started. And I remember before getting on the stage, my friends from work office were there, and they were like, "Hey, Sobin, how you doing? Are you nervous? It's like 300 people and my first show ever."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Nope, I'm just excited. I can't wait to get onto the stage." That is how I was feeling. And I was like, I've never felt like that about anything. On that day, I'm like, there are like 30, 35 comedians. I know I'm one of the best, if not the best comedian performing
Fucking
that
hell.
night. That kind of confidence and that kind
Yeah.
of feeling of excitement rather than
Yeah.
nervous. I'm like excited to say my jokes and to
Yeah.
see how the people are gonna do it. And I did that 5 minutes, and it was the best 5 minutes. I was like one after other, they were last. And again, I don't want to. I'm not bragging, but that was such a high
Yeah.
because there were points where I had to stop telling my jokes because people are laughing and clapping, so I had to wait till that stops so that I
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
continue. That is how it was. But then obviously those are friends and families of the other comedians as well, so everybody is super supportive.
Mm.
But that was such a high moment. And then a week after that, I went to my first open mic where the mic is not working properly. Like the backyard comedy club where we did our first gig was a big comedy club
Yeah.
and good venue, mic, stage, and everything. The open mics are usually in the back of a pub. There are people drinking and shouting, and that is busy. The
Yeah.
mic is not working, the light is not working, the audience are distracted. There is like what, maximum 20 people sitting there if you're lucky, and they are like not focusing or they're tired, and there is like back to back amateur comedians coming and testing new material, so they aren't that funny. Where for the backyard we had 8 week training and an instructor to guide us and everything, while open mic is usually people coming to test new material without any rehearsal or
Mm-hmm.
anything. So the audience are really low energy. I did the same 5 minutes I did at backyard, but I didn't get half the laugh I got when at
Interesting.
backyard because there's a lot of moving parts where
Yeah.
the
Yeah. Yeah.
MC, the host, have to be high energy and keep the audience,
Mm-hmm.
running and in high energy. Also, like when you are getting onto the stage, you also have to cheer up the people and so on. Where it was already done by the MC in Backyard Comedy Club when I was doing my first gig, but the second gig in open mic gave me that reality check. That is when that night I felt really bad because I did the same 5 minutes and I didn't get the
Mm.
response that I was expecting. And that is when I realized, okay, it is not just about jokes.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
doesn't matter how brilliant your joke is if the audience are not connecting to you or listening to you. So there is a point where you have to see the room, understand it, lift up the energy, get the attention. When I started doing it, people thought I would stop after one,
Mm-mm.
but then when I started continuing it, people started supporting me. And one of my friends from work told me, you have to do, 4 gigs a month at least or something like that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then I promised him I will do. So he asked me to do like 10 gigs a month for 6 months or something like that. And I said, that is not
That,
sustainable. That is not going to
yeah. Yeah.
last long.
Yeah.
I just started. So I started small by saying I'll do 4 gigs a month
Yep.
for a year.
Yep.
And also, like, that was an excuse for me to push myself as well. So I
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
promised someone else externally to do that. There's an accountability. But I think my friend was just joking, I believe. But then I just kept on going. And then last November was like that. And
Yeah.
I have a full-time job. So to do this without exhausting because what I don't want to do is like, I start some hobbies. I'm overexcited. I do a lot. and then I drop. I started learning
Yeah, yeah,
Spanish for a while. I
yeah.
dropped
Yeah,
it. I started doing that. I dropped it. So I don't want to go to the point where I do a lot in few a short period of time, and then it
sure.
just burns out, and you are not you don't have the time or energy to do that anymore. So that's why I started doing 4 gigs a month consistently for a year and
I
more than a
was
year now.
I was gonna
Yeah.
ask just to pick up on that, like how like you've been doing 4 gigs a month consistently whilst also working a full time job. Like how do you balance that? Like, do you find the four is like the peak of like that's the most that you can handle? Do you have like a system or something where like yeah, how does
So,
it work?
so after a point, after the initial few months, I couldn't find time to sit down and start writing new jokes.
Right.
So I have jokes that I try have, and then I have some thoughts. But instead of like writing it down, I have bullet points, and then I go to open mics where now I have a lot of friends in the comedy circuit in London,
Yeah.
where most of the comedy club running runners I know them, the owners. So you have the freedom and the flexibility to go there and to experiment
Test.
your jokes and
Mm,
stuff.
mm,
So even after, which is a lazy way of doing it because of my busy work, but the right way to do is to write it down and
yeah.
be more prepared. But due to that lack of time, when I have an idea, I note it down on my book or in my phone, and then I go to an open mic and test it and then
Interesting.
I
Okay.
and then I get the feedback. I test it 2 3 times. By the time you say the same joke 3 4 times in three four different places, you will get a feedback. Okay, this part of the joke gets a laugh. This part of the joke
Mm,
is not that funny, so I'll remove it. So the joke becomes more concise, so that immediately you say a joke, you get a laugh. Say a joke. So when I have like a bigger show, I'll have that refined version of my joke, where it is a joke punchline, like you get laugh, you say
yeah.
setup punchline, you get a laugh.
Yeah.
It's because I tested it in these open mics and I know that is not working. This is the funny. So this is like a I have a 90% chance I'm gonna get laugh or 100% chance. So that's how I do that. So I don't have enough time. I had in the beginning when I started, but then right now I don't sit down and write jokes and stuff, but I do have
Mm,
plans, and then I have, like, when I do 5 minutes, I have the first 2.5 minutes doing my usual regular 100%
yeah.
success rate jokes, and then the in the middle part or the end part I put my new jokes, so that I have the trust of the audience from the first half of my
Yeah.
set, and
Yes.
now I'm putting on new material so that they are still appreciative. They're like, yeah, that didn't work. And then it is good to be like honest and say, when you say a joke and it didn't work, you're like, well, sorry, that was a new one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or yeah, I'll take it off. I won't say that joke again or something like that. And people like that when you're like honest and genuine. So also my jokes, my stand-up, you have seen it. It's more
Mm,
conversational.
yeah.
It's like me talking to a bunch of my friends, telling about something funny that happened last week. So it is not like scripted and by-hearted dialogues. It's not like a monologue. It's more of like me telling a funny story to a friend. So, so yeah, it is easy to balance, as in I don't put specific time for that apart from going to a club.
Yeah.
That is where it becomes a bit difficult, because booking these open mics and making yourself accountable to not cancel it and go there and do it, that is the tough part,
Yeah.
because you have opportunities to test material. Even when you are in the tube going towards the comedy club, you can write or think, or when you are taking a shower, you have that time somehow. And as long as open mics are not paid gigs, so you have the
Mm,
freedom to take the risk and test out new materials. But the trouble is booking this show, like open mics, and going there and the admin behind it. And that's what I did. By the way I sold it is by booking every gig 1 month ahead.
got
So
you.
if now it is a March, like by next week I will book all my 4 gigs for
For
April,
April. Yeah.
so that when April comes, I
Yeah.
have
You'd
no
have to think
option
about it.
of I yeah but the another thing is, like, if you wait till April, and if I, for example, if I have to decide whether I have to do a gig next week or not,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
busy with work, I have that, I have this, I might procrastinate it.
Correct. Correct.
But now, since I already booked my March gigs in Feb, I
Yeah.
have 2 gigs next week, which I
Yes.
wouldn't do two gigs in 1 week together, but it just happened. Now, if I had to decide it now, I would just push it. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
since the past me made the decision and promised the
Organizers.
show run organizers that I'm going to
Yeah.
do it, now I'm like, okay, I can't back off. I have to do it. So then now I find my time, and after work, it's always in the evening. So after work,
Mm, mm.
I suit up and I go do my bit. And there are days where I have zero brain power
Yeah.
or like brain space to think of jokes, new jokes. So I do my old 5 minute jokes. But obviously, I'm not a famous popular comedian. So when I go to a different comedy club, nobody have seen me. Even if the same
Mm,
comedy club,
yeah.
new audience people members come in, so they haven't seen me, they haven't heard of my jokes. So my point was not to go too hard on myself and then exhaust, but
Yeah.
rather I have a good 10-20 minute worth set material now. So I'll
Mm,
try different 5 minute open mics are usually 5 minutes. So I have like 20-30 minute material. If I have to say all my jokes, I have like more than 30 minutes, I would say. So I'll take bit and bobs of that and try new materials. Like I said, 2 minutes, 3 minutes of my usual high success rate jokes, and then the
yep.
new bits will be like stuffed in between to see whether that works. And that's been the process I've been following. And
That's,
four is a decent amount because I get 1 gig usually, 1 gig a week,
yeah.
1 gig a week, so that 4 gigs a month. And it has been kind of sustainable. So I do the
That's
job,
cool.
my
Yeah.
work 9 to 5, and then I go to comedy club once in a week.
Mm,
And I think I started it as a quarter life crisis solution. And then 1 year into doing comedy, I feel like a quarter life crisis is still there. It's not
yeah,
going
yeah,
anywhere. That's when I started doing boxing.
yeah. Yeah,
So
yeah.
now, yeah, so now I have comedy and boxing. Like boxing is more of a training every week, twice a week,
Mm,
and then comedy happening once a
mm.
week. So you have something outside work, to be engaging with. So yeah.
No, that's super cool, man. It sounds like you've figured out a system that's like really sustainable for you. So, like, has there been like transferable learnings that you've taken from your day job and comedy? Like, were there any learnings that you applied to one another?
Well, it is an interesting question. I haven't seriously thought about it before because both work and comedy are like completely different.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then I think having a plan is the
Mm,
fundamental thing. Which again, when you told me about this podcast, I was thinking to
yeah.
myself, am I the right person to say this? Because comedy, boxing, work, it might externally sound like, oh, I have a perfect sustainable system running on, which is making all this happening. But there are months where I skip boxing. There are months
Yeah,
like
yeah,
I can't focus on my work. There are months
yeah.
where I'm just saying my old jokes again and again instead of writing a new joke because it just doesn't you can't you
Yeah.
can't process like that. You are human beings, you're not a machine.
Correct.
There are other things happening in your life that goes ups and downs. There are a lot of uncertainties, uh, you know so obviously just to make it clear, I don't have a very perfect sustainable system. I'm trying to have a system.
Yeah.
I'm also struggling. But I think what helped me a lot is the idea of not perfection but progress.
Yeah.
That is what we want.
Yeah.
And this is something I learned when I started listening to Stoicism.
Mm,
So it's
mm,
not about me writing new perfect jokes every month or
yeah.
every week. It's
Yeah.
about, am I doing 4 gigs?
Yeah.
Like, am I doing that? Can I
Getting
make
the
that
reps in.
happen? So yeah,
Mm,
getting my reps in. Yeah,
mm,
seriously, that's it. Get your reps in. Don't don't lose the momentum. So that's why I
mm,
book 4 gigs a month ahead. So getting the reps in,
yeah.
making it happen rather than chasing perfection.
Yeah.
Because when it says perfection, what happens is that you either do it or you completely drop it.
Yeah.
So that is what happens. So I think to answer your question, is there any transferable things that from work and and comedy? I think
Yeah.
this is something I try to generally use in my
That's
life.
foundation.
Even at, yeah, for foundation, as in like it is not about perfection. Can you be consistent and do the small steps if even if it is not a revolutionary perfect step, can you make it going on and building a system? It could be as easy as having a system of batch cooking. I batch cook
Yeah,
every
yeah.
weekend so that I eat healthy food during the week rather than eating
Mm,
from outside. Both good for money and
mm,
also good for your health. So in a busy week, especially with comedy and boxing in the evenings, how
yeah,
am I
yeah,
gonna cook? So it's
yeah.
always in a weekend you batch cook and make it happen. And now I've been doing ever since I came to UK. I started cooking only after coming to UK. So it took me
Mm,
all this last 4 or 5 years to build a system in my
yeah,
cooking skills and also
yeah,
have to have a system where I get all enough vegetables and protein and carb and everything, and
yeah.
also I like it's sustainable both financially and health wise. So I think that fundamental. So if you're like sticking for perfection, as in, "Oh, I'm gonna have different meals every day, and
Yeah.
it is going to. I've tried that. What happens is
Mm,
that one week you are perfect, and then the second
yeah.
week onwards you burn out, you drop, and then you go back to eating fried chicken every
True.
night from your fried chicken and some, I love fried chicken, man, but it's not good like to eat, especially you can see that your health going bad, your skin getting bad, your sleep getting worse, you having stomach problems because you're eating junk. So it's not about like
Mm,
having perfect meal, but can you have a system where you can make that progress one by one? So that is my life motto at work, at comedy, at everywhere. So yeah, it's not
that's
about
so
perfect. And
been.
again, it is not something I came up with. Obviously, it's a years old philosophical path of stoicism that talks about it's not about perfection, it's about progress. So yeah, I hope that answers the question.
No, that does, man. I fucking love that. That's just the Sobin ST life motto. No,
So honestly, don't put my name across that.
no,
That is
sorry, sorry.
that is like Marcus Aurelius or some philosophers did that. So
Yeah,
not me.
it's the stoicism. That's where the ST came from, bro. So, um,
Yes.
I was gonna ask like we're both from like Asian cultures, right? So like
Yeah.
creativity or that creative like endeavor is something that's like never really encouraged. But like I
Yes.
guess like you know what if there was anyone was listening to this right now was like thinking of doing something on the side just to start off, like what advice would you give to them?
Yeah, so I have always heard about people saying things like, if you want something, just get into it. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
go, don't half-ass it, just
yeah.
go all in. But for me, uh, I don't know everybody have the privilege to do that.
True.
You
Right.
know, you
Right.
think you talk about like I remember the John Krasinski, the Jim Halpert from Office,
Mm,
in an interview saying how he was job hunting, as in doing auditions after auditions for acting gigs, and his mother gave him like an option, like do it for like 1 or 2 years, and if it doesn't work out, you can come back home. Like 1 month before he decided to go back home is when
mm,
he got the call from Office, as in
mm.
he got casted, and that was the turning point in his acting career and in his life. And I was thinking like I wouldn't be able to do that. I mean, I respect the process and I respect the people who go all in like that and they have
Yeah.
made it, but it is not always that straightforward.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Not everybody has rich parents, not everybody
Yeah.
is coming from a place where you can't just throw off all your responsibilities and just even like when I was thinking of sustainability careers, wildlife
Yeah.
conservation, NGOs, the reason I went for consulting is because one, it has money.
Yeah. It
It
pays well.
pays my bills, it pays
Yeah.
well. And secondly, it kind of satisfies my goal and my ambition and my passion for sustainability to contribute and to have an impact. So I
Mm,
wanted something that gets me both. I didn't have the luxury of just going and following my passion blindly without thinking.
true.
What I would do is like find a way to support yourself
Mm, mm,
and and you know have, because this is what happens if I am depending on comedy to pay my bills. I
yeah.
would have I would have been in a different mindset. I wouldn't be enjoying the process. I would be desperate. And that
Mm,
desperation would push you to a point for you to become the best. I'm not neglecting that because I see a lot of comedians who are doing 4 gigs a week, you
Really?
know, and they're like, yeah, they're pushing themselves, but then they hate their day job, you know. They are waiting for the moment where they can quit and be a full-time comedian. And they're like hustling and hustling and hustling. And I respect that. But not everybody, so there is no one rule for or like a one
Yeah.
solution for all.
True.
It is what works for different people. For me, so I'm happy with that
Mm,
job and I'm
mm,
learning and I'm developing and I'm getting it like that from my job.
mm.
Meanwhile, the comfort and the job security, everything my day job gives me the mental space to think about comedy, boxing, and have the financial freedom
Yeah. Yeah.
to go to Manchester and do a gig when they pay you nothing,
Yeah.
or go to the outskirts of London,
Yeah.
traveling 2.5 hours or 1 hour just to do a gig and come back when you can see your Oyster card is uh, you know, like empty now because so you're getting zero from that, but then the day job is giving me the freedom to explore this and
Mm,
have a life outside that and that freedom. So I really appreciate that. So my advice would be have that stability
mm. Yeah.
and and so that you don't hate,
Mm,
you won't start criticizing or your or it won't become a point where you have to do it not because you love it, it's
mm,
because you have to pay the bills and eat.
mm,
That is where the problem comes in. And again, I'm in a privileged place to say that,
mm.
but there might be people who don't have that privilege, but this is my advice and this is what I follow to have like a stability. At
Yeah.
the end of the day, adulthood is about 9 to 5 job and paying your bills and doing your chores, cleaning your room, washing your plates, and
Yeah.
doing your clothes. You should have something else to do as fun, and
Yeah.
this is what gives you. And if your passion and your talent comes out and makes you someone unique,
Mm,
and then you made a breakthrough, and like people ask me a lot when once I started doing a lot of gigs, that they like my jokes and they
mm,
think I'm a good comedian. Do
mm.
you consider like moving to comedy and leaving your
Full
day
time.
job? And I was like, I'm on a work visa in the UK as an
Yeah.
immigrant. I'm not legally allowed to make money from you comedy, so it works both ways. Like,
No, that makes sense. Whilst it's still a fun and games and passion, you still have the passion. Might as well keep that there rather than it starting to becoming like work, and then you start
yeah,
hating it. I'm conscious of time, and we're almost coming to the end of it. But I want to get over to a fun segment of this where we're going to do quick fire round questions. First one, favorite city to visit.
I think if I have to pick one from watching a lot of movies about
Yeah,
Hawaii,
yeah.
I
Oh,
always wanted to go to Hawaii because the movies are so beautiful.
yeah,
And I am a nature person. Obviously, I'm in love with nature. I like greenery. I like the ocean. I like the sea. I like
yeah.
mountains. That is so. So if I could pick, I would be in the green than
Nice.
in surrounded by big buildings and stuff.
Nice. Moving on. Favorite movie?
Memento. Memento by
Memento.
Christopher Nolan is
Oh, okay.
one of his early movies, and I love it because it shows the directorial genius. I'm a movie lover, and yeah,
I need to watch that. Holy
yeah, we
shit.
need to watch it. We need to watch it
Yeah, yeah,
together
yeah,
because
yeah, yeah, yeah.
when I watch a favorite movie of mine with a friend, I always check whether my
Okay.
friend is enjoying the scenes that I think are the best scenes here. So
Yeah.
yeah, let's do that
No,
one day.
no, that's definitely do it. That sounds like a mindfuck movie that I would enjoy.
Yeah, yeah.
Next one. Favorite food to eat. Nice,
Anything that my mom cooks would be my
nice.
favorite food. I would say. I grew up eating that. I never enjoyed eating from outside. So my
Yeah.
mom's food. If I have to pick one, we have Kerala fish curry. We are quite close to
Ooh,
the sea, so we have a lot of seafood. So Kerala fish curry, cooked by
nice.
my mom, with some yogurt and rice.
Oof, oof.
Oh,
Sounds Oh,
I try
sounds
to
like
recreate. I try to recreate it here, but it is all right, but not as good as my mom's.
yeah. Favorite song.
My
Yeah.
all-time favorite would be "Let Her Go" by Passenger. My previous housemates were annoyed that I was listening to it too many times. They were like, "Dude, we have heard Let Her Go too many times. Just change the song forward."
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm a huge fan of Passenger.
Favorite quote.
Favorite quote. Favorite quote. I don't know where I have this in my desk written down. It says, "Freedom is on the other side of discipline,"
Interesting. Interesting.
which can be rephrased as in many ways, but what it essentially means is that uh, being disciplined is the only way to be actually free,
Agree. Yeah. Yeah.
because that is quite that is the only way you can get out of this 9 to 5 daily
Mm,
boring chores where you
mm,
lock in, do the reps, and make the progress, and jump out of that, because that is otherwise you don't have freedom. You think you have the
yeah.
you when you skip a boxing session, when you decide, oh, I don't want to go do comedy, you think you have a choice and you are doing it because you are free, but
Yeah.
not doing what you want and just going with the flow,
Mm,
as in like with the busy day life. I think that is not freedom. So I think that is an interesting quote. I have actually one more, because
mm.
I recently read a book called Siddhartha, which was gifted by a really special friend of mine. That quote goes by, to find is to be free,
To find is to be free.
which means, like, to seek is to have a goal,
Mm,
and to find is to be free.
mm.
To seek something, you are having a goal and you're trying to get into that goal, and which is something we are all talking about. We have goals on our
Yeah.
comedy career, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, there is an element where if you actually have to find it, you have to be
Mm,
free
mm.
without a goal. As in,
Interesting.
sometimes what you want is not what you think you want.
Mm, mm.
You think you want to come to UK to do your masters, but then you got a admission in a different university and your career changed, and now you're doing sustainability consulting and stand-up comedy, which
Yeah.
was in my plan five
Yeah.
years ago.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
what I mean? So sometimes if you're over fixated on your goal, you
Yeah.
are not seeing that there is a better option
Outcome.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's better than me. So once you are not getting what you want, that means something bigger than that is coming. That's what I
Mm,
believe. So
mm.
yeah, you asked me for one code. I'm giving you two code. One
No, it's
nice.
cool. It's
So
cool. No, that's big. Those are
yeah,
big
so
quotes, though.
yeah. So freedom is on the other side of discipline, and also to seek is to have a goal, but to
Nice.
find is to be free.
Nice. Wow. No, that's big, man. And I guess just on that note, like, what's next for you, Sobin? What should people look out for? I know you got shows lined up. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that is an interesting question, because that is something I ask myself as well. But like I said just now, not over fixating on goals, but
Mm.
also having that optimistic thought of like, yeah, things are going to work out. So yeah, comedy shows are coming up. I think one of the big ones is, now while we are recording this is March.
Yeah.
I have a gig coming in May, in a place called close to Birmingham.
Okay.
Yeah,
What's the
that
date?
is a big one, May 2nd.
May 2nd.
Uh,
Okay.
yeah,
I mean,
and yeah, then a lot of gigs, like I said, four gigs a month is coming up. So plan would be to slowly get into that place where get into like bigger gigs with bigger comedians and get that
hell yeah.
exposure. So that within 5 years, when I'm done with the restrictions of all those visa things, I would have I would have that brand value as a
Yeah.
comedian. So it's
Mm.
more of a brand building right now, while I'm like
Mm.
not making money. It's not about money. It's not about doing 1,000 gigs a year or something. It is about slowly but consistently within within that 5 years. I'm already 1 year in, so four
Yeah.
more years in. 4 more years in, eventually that growing that, and obviously work as well, career as well, trying
Yeah.
to grow there, get some promotion maybe, and
It'll
getting
come.
into more of a senior level there, yeah, and
It'll come,
increasing
bro.
the income, yeah, yeah, and yeah, so yeah, those are the things that I'm hoping to happen next. Out
Nice.
of a lot of things, if I start listing a lot of things, I would like to get it going. Okay, so yeah.
And I guess like where can like audience like listeners viewers that where can they find you like socials and all that?
Yeah, I have Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, all the things. And
Okay.
if you're interested in comedy, Sobin ST comedy is my Sobin ST is my
Nice.
stage name.
Yeah.
ST is actually my last name, Sabu Tangachan. So my name is Sobin Sabu Tangachan. It's too
Mm.
long for a comedy poster, so I shortened it to Sobin ST.
Steve.
ST are
Yeah.
my initials. So
Yeah.
Sobin ST comedy you can find on
Nice.
LinkedIn. I mean, not LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook,
I know your
YouTube, or
LinkedIn though.
TikTok. Yeah, that's my next topic.
Yeah.
If you're not interested in comedy but in sustainability, I have a LinkedIn page which is Sobin Sabu
Nice.
Tangachan.
Nice.
Right now I work for Climate Partners as a sustainability analyst. You can find more about my kite energy and my university projects and my work, my that sustainability side of my work there, and my comedy work on other social media as well.
Love
Yeah.
that, man. I'll make sure I'll put the links
Yes,
yeah
please.
over there.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Sobin, dude, I really really appreciate like just having this chat. I mean, I think some of the things that we talked about are they're really like eye opening in some ways, and like it's just like, oh, it's like some I feel like yeah, some people definitely will like have some takeaways from this. So no, really really appreciate this, bro.
Yeah, it's a lot of things that a 28-year-old man going through quarter life crisis or even a bit late quarter life crisis having a lot of thoughts from books, and like I said, I think the quotes I mentioned are like quite confusing and deep as well sometimes because it talks about a lot of things and you are constantly in that pursuit of making meaning of this life, right? So I hope I didn't confuse everyone with my ideas. Yeah.
No, all good, man. And yeah, that's a wrap, everyone. So stay tuned for the next one. And yeah, much love. Thank you guys so much. And see ya later. How'd you guys find that? What do you guys think? My takeaway from that episode is I love, love, love how Sobin has forced himself to really commit to like doing his stand-up comedy. And in a way, when you think about it, that's the only way that he can get better in honing and perfecting his craft, right? So, in the episode earlier, he talked about how he would put 4 shows a month, and he'll also plan it the following month as well, so that when it gets to that time, there's non-negotiables. He has to commit to it. Yeah, let me know what you guys think. I hope there's some takeaways that you got from this, or if you guys really just enjoy all my conversations with all these awesome people. I know we just started with Sobin, but there's more to come. And yeah, but until then, stay tuned. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope this in a way has inspired something or lit up a fuse or whatever internally within yourselves, so that you guys can go and chase after what you want to achieve. I'm rooting for you. I'm here for you. I'll support in whatever you guys want to go for. Because yeah, I know life is hard, man. It's I know it's not meant to be easy, but there's loads of obstacles that we all have to go through. I'm gonna be yapping at this point, but you know what I mean. So yeah, but until then, take care, friends. Much love. God bless, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye.